told there's some real money in the room.
All right, man. For the people who don't know, even though they should know by now, let them know who we have behind the camera.
You got Melvin, former CEO of Hidden Corners, where we giving you news before it's news, sports, news, entertainment, rap and acting, civil rights, author, all these things. But really, I'm a community activist. I've been doing it over 30-something years, trying to change kids' life, where we hear a lot of people talking about it, but their resumes really aren't doing it. Yeah. So I've just been doing things after I come out from a life sentence, being the first California three-striker to ever get out from a life sentence in '98. And that changed my life because I was the first one. And as you know, three strikes is all over the nation. And I felt I had an obligation to give back to the guys I left behind that were in there for non-violent, non-serious offenses. So I wrote an initiative in 2000, and now we're producing movies, sound bites. Movie rights is what we're talking about. I work with mayors and all across the nation, talk to kids all across the world, not the nation, our world. And I'm just trying to give back for some of the things that we've done in the past to where they can not have to go down through the things that I went through.
Hey, before Toon starts with his next question, I just feel like we got to applaud you on that, bro. Yeah, I just want to do that.
For sure, man. Well, let me just say, you got a long resume, and there's no way that we can get through your accomplishments, your stories, in an hour and 30 minutes and 2 hours. You know what I mean? But I'm definitely honored to, be in your presence for such a time as this.
And I'm really thankful and honored to really be with you guys. It's the reverse with me. I've lived a tremendous life. Good, bad, the ups and downs. But, I like to see y'all where y'all can be behind the cameras to give y'all a chance to elevate yourself to where you can help your families and stuff like this. Other than that, I don't do it. But you call, we embrace you,
right.
We empower you, and then we want to educate you so you don't go through the same mistakes I did. And let me tell you, y'all can't sit up here and watch somebody where they reading it in the books and all this. You have to have experience to get this wisdom. You can't buy it. You can't buy it. So it's an honor for me to be here with you guys, man. I enjoy being around my people.
Oh, man, definitely. Most definitely. Well, Melvin, it's so different for me, man, because I really don't know where to start. A lot of people talk. Let me just say this. A lot of people talk. But people don't show proof, have proof. They just talk. You're not that person. You're not one to just talk and can't back up what you're actually saying.
Yes, sir.
And I'll say I'm guilty because I said ain't no way. There's no way. There's just no way. You know what I'm saying? For those who don't know what I'm referring to, you went on Cam Capone, salute to Cam Capone, and said that there was paperwork out on Charleston White. And you were preserving the paperwork because you didn't want to jeopardize Antoine Doolittle's opportunity to get out.
To get out on a writ of habeas corpus where he's been in jail as a defendant to where Charleston White testified on him. In 1991, they ended up going to trial in 1993. And, he even put out a $20,000 bounty for anybody that can prove he lied or snitched. Because remember, all this time, I killed a white man, I killed a white man, I raped white women, and all this. I wonder how Kanye West going to feel about that when he find out Charleston White said he'll rape his wife and killed his kid. So how he going to even put that up there? So Kanye, you need to step to the mic and talk about that also. See, too many times, people get up here and say what they want and do what they want, but a lot of people don't know. they could be lying because you can't sue a person that's in the public eye. That's why there's no accountability for the contents that's being shown on the Chitlin circuit. Did y'all know that? You can say whatever you want. I'm going to kill Tupac or whatever. Melvin Farmer this. But they can lie. And that's what he does. Show me where he's done anything for any child in a year. He hasn't. But this ain't even about him. I don't need to talk about him. We got our boots to the ground when the camera's not around. But as far as this and the paperwork you're looking at, he's still keeping a young man who he testified on from 1993 to where he's going to the board, which is called IVSS. That's the Integrated Victim Service System that works in conjunction with the CDC. And he's going to the parole board here telling them to keep Antoine Doolittle locked up.
Well, before we even get there, let's take it all the way back to when they were in state school. Okay? So, right now, I'm looking at government documents in which Charleston White is preparing to testify against his co-defendant, Antoine Doolittle. Am I right about it?
Yes, sir.
And so I just want to read it. Can I read the paperwork? It says, "Do you recognize that?" It says, "Yes." What is that? A plea bargain. Okay. Is that an agreement you entered into at the time you entered your plea on your case was taken care of? Yes, ma'am. Is that a certified copy of that agreement? Yes, ma'am. And does your signature appear on this agreement? Yes, ma'am. And whose else's signatures appear there? My mom's and my lawyer's. And your lawyers? Yes. And also some attorneys for the state? Yes, ma'am. Miss Jones, Your Honor, we offer state's exhibit I am tendering to defense's counsel. Mr. Mackey, may I take your witness briefly on voir dire? Do you know what voir dire is?
Voir dire is mean you're getting ready. That's when you holding to pick a jury, and they'll read the voir dire, the rules of what can be admitted when you get ready to start trial, and it's like a jury pool where you're picking a jury, and then they basically reading the instructions, and all this is coming. This is the trial transcripts. You have pre-trial, then you have post-trial issues, to where everything you see here, you could look for it before he started trial and say, oh, they erred and didn't do this. But right now, the paperwork that you're reading is Charleston White, where they're fit to start, and he's fit to testify in a trial of a man where his testimony going to end up making it from 1993 to where he's still in there in 20 going on 23.
Okay. Well, Mr. Mackey, this is Charleston White's lawyer. Am I right about it? It says, Mr. White, looking at State's Exhibit 39, this is a statement and agreement you made between you and the states. Yes, sir. In exchange for testimony. Yes, sir. And that signature there, is that correct? Yes. You made that agreement on October 22nd of 1991. Yes, sir. This nigga been telling since before I was alive. Yes, sir. Mr. Mackey, no objections. The court, it's admitted. Okay, let's go back down. Cause number 48790-J in the matter of Charleston Damon White in the 323rd Judicial District Court of Tarrant County, Texas, entitled Agreement to Enter into Stipulation of Guilt and Plea Bargain Agreement. This agreement to enter into a stipulation of guilt and plea bargain agreement, hereafter called the agreement, is entered into by and between Charleston Damon White, hereafter referred to as White, acting both individually and by and through his parent, Yolanda White, his mother, and his attorney of record, Carl Mallory, in the state of Texas, acting through the District Attorney's Office of Tarrant County, Texas. Okay, let's just continue for a second. Okay, so that's Charleston White, basically agreeing to go into the plea agreement.
That's Charleston White, where now it's 1993.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going to trial. Well, Antoine Doolittle, but Charleston White had been kept at juvenile hall since 91. Everybody else had went into by the end of 1991. They had been sent as tried as adults. But the cold part, Charleston White and the police let him stay with the juveniles while he gathered evidence. All the time he had been knowing that he was going to tell on them. So when they went for the commission hearing to go to the county, Charleston White never went. So Charleston already had made a deal with the prosecutor to where in return for his testimony, he wouldn't be able to go to prison. So when you hear him talking about I killed a white man, they saved me from going to prison, that's not true. He told on those young men prior to them getting ready to go to trial.
Well, let's just continue on some reading. So this is a question and answer from Charleston White, and I believe the court. It says, did you go to Pebble Creek Apartments to see Antoine Doolittle? Yes, ma'am. Do you see the person in the courtroom today that you know to be Antoine Doolittle? Yes, ma'am. Would you point him out and an article of clothing he is wearing? This is Charleston. Black suit, white shirt, gray tie. Is that him on the end of the table? Yes, ma'am. Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant. Charleston, what did you call Antoine Doolittle? What was your name for him? Twan. Yes, ma'am. Okay, did you ever refer to him also as Antoine every once in a while? Okay, did you ever know him to be called Little Twan? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Wow. Just wow. Wow. So, it's tough, man.
It really is, to where
This is tough.
we sit and hear people talking about, particularly blacks, and we're the only race where we sit and talk about each other, downgrade us, lie on each other, and then there's no recourse and slandering, and then we sit up here where a young kid, only 15 years old. That's not right, man. It's one thing when you don't did something and made mistakes, but you don't be 45 years old and still going to keep a young kid in who you had spent the night with that morning and then told on him the next day. And imagine, that mean them two guys and the other three, that mean their parents were real tight. They ain't nothing but 14, 15. They spending the night, and then two young parents got to sit in the court where one of them son on trial for his life, and the other friend, her friend, son is telling on him to take his life. That wasn't right. Then you get out, and then you go and don't come back and try to help the man. You don't call him. You don't send him nothing. But then you holler out, I get him killed trying to sabotage. First they lied and said this wasn't true. I've never been caught a lying on no podcast. I don't even look at them. But we see so many times other people lying. And how do you verify this? Let's do a spot check, a fact check. I ain't seen nobody do nothing basically on the internet to help the community, other than talk about each other, verbal tongue lashing, lip boxing, and gymnastics. But where y'all doing to help the community? What are y'all doing? I umpired Little League Baseball all last summer. Now I'm coaching basketball. We got a movie that we're doing with Ice-T, The World Epidemic, Sixless Gun Violence. We've been working on that where he executive producer. We got another show, Before We Blew, talking about the violence that's happening. So this is not nothing new. I do civil rights, some of the biggest murders in this nation for over 30 years. You can't see me on the internet, but Google me on the LA Times, the Washington Post.
So, Melvin, not to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
But we all know, you know, Charleston has embraced the role of a community watchman, police, you know, George Zimmerman type. He's embraced that role. So what's significant about this paperwork than him, you know, saying that he'll tell on anybody else?
Well, first of all, who he don't told on? Y'all watching a mirage. This is going to be the worst scandal since Milli Vanilli that won an Oscar for lip syncing. Who he don't told on? I'll wait.
Well, he's called the police.
He's called the police, but that ain't ratting. There's a difference here.
Okay, let me ask you this, Melvin. Do you think that... Let me ask you this, Melvin. Do you think that... Or is it telling when Charleston calls parole officers or probation officers?
That's telling.
Okay.
That's snitching.
Okay.
That's what they do. Oh, he's selling dope. Oh, he's stealing my tape. That ain't the same thing as testifying to get a man's life taken. Okay. Now let's look at who all done did that and who ever been welcomed back. When Tookie got executed, a man told on him that I knew. Same thing. He ain't been back. John Gotti, he didn't get to go back to the mafia. Sonny Barger, he got killed in the print. So blacks are the only ones that will let a rat run his mouth. So I don't care about him telling, because we know people. I've been in this game with Michael Conception, Bedford Pookie. They had murders when we was 14, 15. I can gang a gang of them from 15 on up. But we didn't tell. Our motto was, if one of us can get out, to let everybody go. That's fine. But let me show you how careless listener y'all. Y'all hear him say this, that, then, I raped this, I did that, then he holler out, Melvin's son did this. And then y'all will hold it against like I'm supposed to be for a grown man. When all I do is say, well, call Charleston White mama up here and sit her there. Call R. Kelly mama and sit her here. Call Mystical mama and sit him here. In other words, what I got to do with it? If you can't call them, nigga, don't judge me like you say. Judge me for what I do.
Man, Melvin, just real quick here, you know, from my perspective, all a parent can do is raise their children.
That's it.
Once they become adults, they make their own decisions and their own choices, and they got to live with those choices. If my son got to do time, knock on wood, I can't do that time for him. How do you feel when people coming at you about your son?
I don't look at social media, but don't nobody comment. They say it, but when you think about it, what I got to do with it? You got a man that's saying he raped somebody. What they got to do with me? Nothing. Am I correct?
You're right.
So how you gonna let a man say he raped and put him, and then worry about me about what another man do? That's because y'all put titles on it. I don't care about him doing that rape where he did it, but he said it. My son did it, but he was on drugs. He'd never been to jail. But it was, y'all don't forget, it was 3 or 4 other people there. But I made my son ride the beef. Nigga, you gonna do this? You gonna ride that beef. And all of them gone on. So don't tell me about that. He got 450 years while I told him, you gonna do this time, nigga. You're not taking that girl with the baby that was in the car with you. What you gonna take her with you for when the baby on? That's why they didn't kill him. It was a girl in the car where they had been trailing him. It was more people than that. But my son was a basketball player. Everybody know who Melvin Farmer is. I was the #1 record runner in our family. But when Tayshaun Pinson, they broke his leg, he got hooked on drugs. No tattoos. The boy ain't never been in no trouble. But look up what meth will do to you. And I told him, I said, you know, you got my last name, young man. What you do reflects on me. I say, you messing with a drug. Well, I promise you. And he was robbing. I don't see him brought a Porsche. And I say, I promise you, within 90 days, you're going to wake up in jail. And you ain't going to even know you done fucked off your whole life. Behind drugs, you don't think I know you losing. So he had his warning. He had his warning. But like I'm telling y'all about life, when I wrote the book about 3 Strikes You In, the new slave ship about prison coming in 1998, I predicted mass incarceration. And look what we got.
Mass incarceration.
But y'all didn't hear. Let me show you how they bite off of me. Y'all hear Charleston White say, oh, ain't no Crips successful. Bro, do it look like we playing? These are Crips that got this 20 square thousand foot from Penny Marshall and Mark Wahlberg, and we letting y'all in.
Amen.
Yeah, but that's what we do. We try to embrace you, educate you, and then go let you empower you, or open the doors to where other people's voices can be heard. The rappers, the actors, the entertainers, the softball players. We try to do things to where other people's voices can be heard. I don't even like doing interviews. I really don't. I really, really don't. I'm more of a civil rights activist. I've done some of the most highest profile murders with Ted Williams. That's who do the George Floyd and all these high profiles. I did Prince Jones. That's the young kid that's from Howard University student, got killed in Four Corner Parnassus. I did Margaret Laverne Mitchell. That's the lady that got killed over a shopping cart that Leo Terrell and Larry Elder did. I did the murder of the Harlem Globetrotters that y'all didn't know. They got shot the same day. Chief Park's granddaughter got killed in gang violence. I did Taisha Miller, 19 times shot. I did the Death Row 10 in Chicago that make it a moratorium. It's a gang of cases I done. The homeless, the girl that got killed at the hotel in Vegas, Sharice Iverson, where Jeremy Strohmeyer killed her. Y'all resumes aren't matching up with what y'all saying. And that's just that.
So, here's the big controversy. A lot of people, even gang members from LA, some will say maybe Charleston's wrong, but his message is what people need to hear.
I can say we all have a message, but you can't be a lone wolf. If we're going to go by that, first look at some of the things he's saying where it's a message. That's bitten off of me. You know how you can write a song and they steal your lyrics?
Yeah.
Look at my pages where they say it. All that's been said before, young man. Do you realize we was in the first gang, a song with all in the same gang? 1990, 91 with Nothing But Self-Destruction. But evidently, y'all ain't look. I've been saying this when I was in the first gang intervention program in 1976 for gangs when we was trying it. Then you hear them, oh, I'm keeping up Dolores Tucker spirits. I was on the podium with Dolores Tucker talking about the lyrics and rap and gun violence. So what's new about it? To y'all it's new, but what is he doing about it? So that give you a pass? What is he actually doing to stop the problem? Nothing. And what is he going to be involved in to stop the problem? Nothing. He can't come to no area on the streets because he's rejected by the streets. Y'all don't hear other people's messages because y'all don't interview nobody else. You can have a message all the time, but when it comes to stepping to that board and say how you got the answer. See the difference? You can sit up here and I can study this test like I'm going right now where I told you I'm going to be a tax preparer. And I ain't never had a W-2 form, but I'm up 16 hours a day educating myself to get me a job because that's how hard it is. So I don't went through this test where I don't see the answers. They let you start over again because I read it. And I might start off and I won't get nothing but 30%. Well, you got to get 70. But the next time I go, I got 89. But goddamn me, on paper, it looked good. But if that teacher would ask me to sit up there and ask me how I got that answer, I didn't. I didn't experience it. So don't get caught up when you hear what somebody say. That don't mean they know what they doing. Like we heard him talk about, and I ain't talking about Charleston White. I don't even need to talk about him. But if we match up what we doing for this community, I ain't seen him do nothing. Name it.
Yeah, he got his hype organization.
That hype organization ain't nothing but a paper organization, young man. You hear it.
He posts videos every now and again.
Okay, go ahead.
In schools.
No. In what school? How long ago? Oh, the one where he went to Tennessee? Where he didn't tell y'all the name of the school, but he told you the name of the teaching principal? But y'all didn't know he got ran out of there where he caught a case up there because a parent knew that he had been talking about blacks, and she ran him out of there. Oh, and don't talk about the other one he did where the police got fired. Now name something he been at after that, and by the way, it wasn't but 2 people there. What would a grown man have to go and talk to some 4th and 5th graders about something about the death penalty? Or you could be tried as a juvenile and you ain't in nothing but the 4th and 5th. Show me the work that he's doing, and I wait. You know Antoine, you know Abdul Chappelle?
Mm-hmm. I know Brother Abdul.
Abdul doing phenomenal work. In fact, we finna go, and let me show you how they go. You remember a couple, or did you know a couple of weeks ago, 4 people got killed in Dallas-Fort Worth in a shootout where all of them got killed in the car.
Yeah.
Why Charleston White didn't say nothing about that murder? They were gang members. They had guns.
Well, I actually called him out for not speaking out.
No, but why he didn't?
And he didn't say his response had nothing to do with those kids getting murdered.
But you know why he didn't?
Why not?
Because it's easy to throw bricks at California from far away. But if he'd have opened that up and said that, they would have killed him, because now you talking on us. So how you gonna be a civil rights activist and you talk about everybody else, but 4 murders where they had it all on the internet and you ain't got nothing to say? That means you ain't about this game. That's why y'all need to give those that are in this game. It's very hard to be around gang members in LA and they all fighting and all over everywhere else, but you're talking against the grain about unity. That takes a man. It don't take nothing to sit up here and run your mouth. He's an act. Let's put it to the mic and see who the better man as far as helping the community. I don't have National Alliance for Positive Action, Parents Against Public Abuse, Hidden Corners, Voices from the Street. I even wrote a law. He ain't wrote no law. Everything you hear me saying is he say he do it, but he don't. He go on my page and say what I say to y'all where y'all think it's him and it's me. Play with me. He say he wrote a law, show me. I got mine. So I wrote the 2003 strikes law. 2000. On a ballot. Me, Valerie Monroe, and all us. I've won appeals. We fight. We do everything for children. Any age. We've been doing this. From the first gang intervention, 1976, $50 a week. I want to hear what all y'all looky-loos doing to get back to the community to where y'all gonna try to, you can't kill my history. You can't. A lie will never be able to coexist with the truth. That's why y'all don't have us all on there at the same time. Say cheese, call all of them. Step to the mic against me and they all will get embarrassed. They ain't lived this life. Y'all read books and think that make you authentic. But what is he doing? Nothing. Nothing. Y'all sit up here and allow a man to say he'll rob and rape, fuck black kids and all that. Y'all on some game goofy shit, nigga. You don't hear us disrespecting nobody. I'ma call them yes ma'am, no ma'am. That's part of this game. But y'all worried about KM West or whatever his punk ass name is, talking about a Jew. But y'all asses talking about each other. What y'all gonna do? What y'all gonna do? Don't play that shit. Y'all playing this bullshit. I don't like it when somebody can say fuck Martin Luther King. Have y'all ever met him? But I walked with Coretta Scott King at the Million Man March with Dorothy Hyde hand in hand. That ain't right.
That's not right.
That's not right. And then a rat, not a snitch, that he didn't kill nobody, but he sure took 3 young black men's life. And now he out here bragging. I killed a white man and that. No, you didn't, young man. This paper right here, you took 3 black kids' life. And don't say he was young. I done been around a gang of them that was young. A gang of them. They ain't told. But it ain't even about that. Then I'm going to let this go with him. Because I don't need to talk about him. It's nothing to me. But y'all got to remember, this man is 45 years old, and he's still going to the board to keep a black man in jail. That's foul, no matter how you slice it. And you out here doing all this bullshit. That ain't cool, man. So let's move on.
So you're now fighting to get Antoine Doolittle out of jail. So
Yes,
we kind of touched on it a little bit, but just for a point of clarification, Antoine Doolittle was Charleston White's co-defendant, in which the paperwork that you provided from the courts said that Charleston White testified on, in his testimony, got his sentence reduced to juvenile life, and
He didn't get life. See, that's a lie. He didn't get life. As a juvenile, you only can stay up under juvenile authority till the age of 21.
Yeah.
So that's why he only stayed in to 21. So when he was saying, I was going to prison and they changed my life and seen something, that's not true.
But Tune is right. That is juvenile life though.
it's considered juvenile life is 21.
It's up to
you know
21.
what I'm saying?
They call that a life sentence?
Juvenile life. Juvenile.
Oh, in y'all language, all it is in California, it's a juvenile commitment.
Oh yeah.
Because out here, when you get a juvenile life, you'll stay till you get a certain age
And then
and
they
your
send you
ass
up-
getting
then
you.
they send
So
you up
he
road.
didn't have juvenile life because if you read the transcript, I looked up the laws.
Okay.
You have a commitment. He could have got juvenile because they just started the 14-year on, so you're right. But he never was in danger of going to state prison because he plea bargains.
Right, he told. Now
He testified.
He testified.
Not told. He testified.
Right.
Big difference.
Well, his testimony got Antoine Doolittle and his other co-defendants locked up, and they're still in jail over 30 years later.
Hmm?
Now, it's been told to me that Charleston is still going to parole hearings. And he's going in front of the parole board
Commission.
commission.
That's what Antoine Doolittle explained to me, the young man who calls me from prison. He say he's at a point to where he's been in custody so long where it used to be 2 or 3 people at the board hearing, but now it's one person, a commission, then they'll go and make the final decision. But there's a program, and you can Google it while one of y'all, it's called IVSS. It's in Chicago. In Texas. It's for the parole board to where if you're a victim, witness, or concerned citizen, you can tell the names of who you want to keep tab of, so when they go to the board, when they get transferred, when they paroling, you can have the information on a daily basis. It's called the Integrated Victim Service System. Am I right?
You are absolutely.
Am I correct?
You're correct, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm not. Everything I say, Google.
You're not bullshit.
That's what program he under.
And so
IVSS.
So Charleston's keeping tabs on when he goes
No.
and he's telling.
They
Well,
notify him. Don't forget. Look what it says. Witness, victim, concerned citizen. Am I lying, my man?
No, you're not lying.
I've studied the law. So Charleston was a witness, as well as claiming a victim, as well as saying a concerned citizen, because he don't change his life, and he go to the board and tell the board Don't let Antoine Doolittle out. I'm scared of him.
What hurts me right now?
It should hurt everybody.
The fact that Antoine, at this point in his life, spending over half your life.
More than that. He's way more. The boy ain't but 30. He was 15 then, 9. That's 24 and 22 more. The man is 46 now, 47.
He spent more time in jail than he's been alive. And for Charleston to still be trying to keep him locked up instead of giving him the opportunity to have a second shot at life, to make up for his wrongs, man, that's tough.
It really is, man.
That's
what
tough.
What do you think? This is how you
it's
kill
tough
off
because he's on the same case as you. You know, it's not like this is a murderer or a menace to the community. This nigga who made a mistake over a jacket that you claim you told him to do it in.
He didn't tell him to do it. That's just it. He was the worker. All of them, I'll show you the transcripts. All of them had money. Antoine Doolittle had money. The other two brothers, the Jacksons, they had money. That's why if you read the transcript, when Charleston White go in the store, he told him before he was the worker.
Right.
He's the thief. They told him, and he told him, give me some money, so when I go in there and show them the way to money, they'll think I'm buying big. So now, Charleston White was not the one that masterminded. Everything he say he did on the transcript, because you know he lied, because he never said, remember, he kept saying, anybody could prove I snitched, $20,000. I don't even care about the money, and really wasn't looking to try to prove it or not. They family called me and asked me, can you help me get my son out? Or my brother. He got a brother named Luther. So what Charleston White do? He started trying to dirty Mac. And this other nigga Blueberry or whatever his name, and this other nigga Joe Blow, who I'm trying to sell y'all niggas around a rat. Melvin paperwork no good. But it seemed like everything Melvin said been true.
So let's talk about Joe Blow for a second. I know Blow. I like
Blow.
Blow.
My boy.
Blow's
but
a
he
good
did
man.
some foul. No, we don't even talk about Joe Blow. I don't even want to talk about him or none of them because they lied after I told them, man, your man is a snitch. They gonna get on TV and say I'm lying. And they knew me. Now what they ain't gave them.
Charleston has like a barrage of respected people who kind of mess with him because at the end of the day, I think it's because no paperwork has been provided until today.
No, it's been paperwork, but at the end of the day, I don't want nobody's voice to be silent. Him, we all got voices. But don't act like you the lone wolf in this, because you're not. You can't talk to the streets. You can't really talk to nobody because can't nobody trust you. So really he's irrelevant when it come to whatever he's talking about. What he's going to do? You can't come to L.A. and talk to nobody. You act like guys can do a robbery and then get the money back. He don't say some things. He can say, oh, they ain't going to do this or they ain't going to do that. Who knows? But when you run your mouth for that smoke, don't get mad when the pressure comes. I walk around here by myself, wherever I go, because I ain't did nothing to nobody. But now he got to walk around where it ain't making no sense, man. Y'all act like somebody y'all idolizing the wrong, the rappers, the actors, all those are characters. We action figures. They can be characters, we action figures. We're about the business.
Well, let's take the conversation to, well, let me ask you this. If somebody wants to reach out to Antoine Doolittle and write him or donate to him, is there a way for them to do that?
Well, what we're going to do is you can contact me. I don't do social media, Facebook, YouTube, none of that. You can contact me. Look on me on Facebook, Melvin Farmer, the real Melvin Farmer. We fit to launch Hidden Corners. You can contact me or contact Abdul Chappelle out there that's working for cleaning up the hood with the law, the kids and the mayors out there. If you want to inquire, call me or look him up, Antoine Doolittle. We'll give you the booking number. He could use a little help because he's hurt. His family called me. I got the tapes of him calling. Why is he doing me like this? I just want to come home. That ain't right, man. The kid, and the cold part, the young man probably ain't had sex with his socks off. That's a real crime, to be 45 years old and a possible virgin. And then y'all talking about he giving other people and he don't know. You don't reward nobody for that. Forget what he's saying. He ain't saying nothing no more than I said. You can't sit him in front of me and talk about what he's doing. Because all the shit he's saying come from where he steal it from other people. He lied and said, Melvin, they told Melvin don't hang. They don't mess with Melvin. That's a lie. So y'all want to believe somebody, but you don't do the other side. Why they can't call me and call me to Texas and sit me in front of him? He'll be embarrassed. So anybody could say something a while away, but you can get all of them you want. Dewberry, Joe Blow, Say Cheese, Vlad TV, all of them, but they never put nobody up there because they're in their show. So, what's the fairness in that? And why you think we don't be on shows? Because y'all thinking this a old man game. Y'all hear I told Marvin, oh, these old, y'all don't heard everything they said, but they can lie because you can't get sued. So, what would I want to be in the game like that for? I don't want to. I've been doing this a long time where we've been trying to help kids, families. We not only do this, we just had a sex show where the Grim Reaper, survivors from where the Grim Reaper who had been killing over 50-something women over 28 years, a lot of them I knew. We did a show with Doc Ellis Foundation. I also work with Saving the Black Village. That's a church organization. I also work with another organization where we're trying to revitalize baseball during the summer. We do gang intervention. We're doing movies. And not just me, all over. We're talking about getting Jeff Fort, Larry Hoover out of jail. But not out of jail. See, they don't know. It's gonna be far-fetched to get them out of jail. But we can get them some type of release up under the conditions where they think they're at Guantanamo Bay, locked up 24 hours, 23 hours, and all that. Well, I feel that they should at least be given a little bit more time out their cell, a little bit more leisure to update it than treating them like animals. And that leads us to the question, in America, who got more rights, an animal or a black man? That's what we need to be asking.
Hey, real tone, there's some real money in the room.
All right. Well, Melvin, I do want to switch gears for a second. For those who don't know you and maybe wondering who you are, why you so important, why you so respected, why do you have the perspective that you have on life? Where are you from?
I'm from Los Angeles, California.
For you, how was it growing up in Los Angeles?
Well, when I first came, it was the equivalent of migrating. I come here, I was born here in 1957, so that means I was on the east side, and that was all black. It was like they coming from the south. They jazzing it up, Central Avenue, the Zoot Suits, the Ella Fitzgeralds, the Charlie Birds, all that was the east side. That's the 110 freeway where it's on the east side. But by the time I was 12, I moved to the west side, which would have been the equivalent of coming into slavery where everybody's white. There was no old guys like on the east side where they've had gangs since 1930. On the west side, they didn't have gangs. They didn't have men old enough to be in a gang. They had cliques. 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 13-year-olds. So when I moved over there, I'm at St. Andrews Park. That's where Tookie and them, they're a little older, but they used to be my baseball coach. But I don't move from a side to where we eating bear rabbit sandwich. That's the molasses where you got to hold the can up an hour and a half just to get some. But also it was used to when we used to get blue chip stamps and the stuff come off to where you stick it to keep it on. So now at 12 and 13, I done moved to the west side, all white. But it's a different perspective. Miniature golf, swimming pool, fresh fish markets, giant slides, beautiful parks, the Forum, the Staples Center, no, the LA Coliseum, and Soul Train, gang banging, and pop locking is starting to come. So I'm playing baseball as a 12, 13-year-old. Tookie Nim is here, but you could see Tookie Nim at St. Andrews and see the white folks down there. So it was a different perspective from me to where I was playing sports. I was the #1 ranked basketball player every year that I played as a 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. One of the best. One of the best. But what was happening was we'll go to the other parks, Harbor Parks, which end up being Brims, Van Ness Park that end up being Van Ness boys, or going up in the jungle that end up being T. Roger and them, or going up to Manuar's playing at Deacon Park that was the Brims, or going to Inglewood, Darby Park, those the Bloods. Then I'm playing at Roger Park, those end up being Bloods. But I'm from LA, and I'm only 13 or 14. How many of y'all been shot at behind you playing on the court and they know you from St. Andrews Park in 1971, 670, and they shooting at us, shot at me. One of the worst games, and I mean nothing but 14. Then we playing baseball. Me, Justin Baycott, Jeffrey Baycott. They attack us with bats, grown men. We ain't nothing but 13 or 14. So now I done went from hanging in the courts or the corners, because I can't even play sports because of the association at 14 and 15 of being at St. Andrews Park. So it was a different vibe then, man. And it ain't like they see but depicted in these pictures to where we didn't have 2 household families. Our mothers didn't know we were sneaking out the window.
Right.
So, for the people that don't know, what was the association with St. Andrews Park?
The association at St. Andrews Park is, you had Raymond Washington them that was from the east side. That's the freeway. You got Tookie them on the west side. Then you got the Compton Crips, James Compton, Moto, all these type of guys that were 18, 19, the Ayatollah Marvins, the Puddins, the Tam. So the association with the Crips at St. Andrews is, that's where at the beginning, the foundation and the crystallization of the Crips started to come into fruition. I was witness to it. See, I seen it at 12, 13 when they were younger, and then I seen it when it got to that age to where the Crips are starting. I've been a Crip just about since I was 14 or 14 years old. I'm 65 now. I got 51 years in this game, where a lot of them ain't lived to tell this shit. So they need to respect what we doing to come back, to give back. I don't have to be here, but I know a lot of people, I tell them, you get too old to work, too young for Social Security in this game, and was it worth it? We should be, look at the documentary. I got a documentary with 40 million views, and it ain't but a 6-minute by the LA Times, where all you hear, all these people, you hear a lot of Charleston White, where y'all say he right, but if you look at it, he don't bit my tape verbatim, word for word, where y'all clapping, but it's really Melvin words. Y'all talk, and then so that's how it was for me. That's how it was on the west side. We were integrated. You had white folks, we didn't have, you had 2-parent homes, everybody working, but we didn't have older people that was 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 to look up to.
Y'all were the big homies.
There was no such word. We're all, at the most, Tookie them was 17, but I had been knowing Tookie through his sister, Bridget, was the first girl I ever met checking in after I moved off the east side to start at Horace Mann. The first girl I ever said a word to ended up being Tookie's sister, Bridget Calloway. Then you had little Took Calloway, because Tookie last name is Williams. And then he got the older sisters, which is Vicky and the other ones that look like him, but the younger ones is like that. So it wasn't as bad as it was, because my mother was working at Northrop. My daddy was working at the Greyhound bus station. So a lot of times I was the babysitter, particularly in our area where we raised the little one, my little sisters, my two. And so my mama and them, a lot of times we hear them say, oh, your parents are involved. But my parents didn't know I was sneaking out the window. And by the time they caught up on it, it was too late. The streets had took me. So I know about that and the importance of a parent being in your life during your early adolescence and stuff like this, particularly nowadays. So that's how it was with me growing up. And at the end of the day, by the time I was 18, I had over 40-something arrests. By the time I'm at my age now, I done did over 30-something years in prison, still on parole for another 10 years while I damn near got the death penalty in Georgia prison that I just got out on. So I just do what I do every day, man, and just try to live life and provide somebody.
So Raymond Washington, he was killed
1979, August.
Tookie Williams was arrested 1979.
February. I was with Tookie when I got out the halfway house. I told Took such and such. We didn't have no word called telling. I mean, a rat or a snitch. At the very least, we might say, hey, man, this nigga here telling. And I told Took, because he asked me to come. I got the picture on my phone, in fact, the day it happened. I was getting out the halfway house to see my same son for the first time that was born in 77. I'm getting out February. Tookie get arrested at the end of February. In fact, we'll go by the house on the way back, and I'll show you where he got arrested, and I'm going to show you what that murder that he said he didn't do, that he didn't do. Now with Raymond Washington, he get killed in August. By then, I done robbed 2 jewelry stores where I'm at the halfway house, and I see Raymond right about the day before he get killed. I'm coming back from gambling off the east side, and at this time, we giving him a little bit of jewelry. You know, we all together, because he got out of prison hanging with us. And what I mean by that, he started fooling around in the lowriders and cars, Ray Shauna, his daughter, and all that. So, and the images of Raymond and Tookie now aren't the images that this world project. I never seen Tookie with a gun until he got shot in Compton, and until they caught him for the murder he got. Tookie didn't need no gun. Raymond Washington, never seen him with no gun. They were fighters. Big Jack, Michael Christian, all these guys were fighters. In fact, all of us were fighters. Then the gang started using the weapons. But other than that, it wasn't Tookie now, it was the younger corps, where we could do a murder and you only get 2 years. Carjacking was a sight out. Get caught with a gun, they give it back. They made the juvenile fitness hearing that affects Charleston White. He got tried as an adult. He just didn't make it, but them other ones got tried. They made that law in 1975, when you look it up on the Supreme Court, where they made that law behind the behavior of the kids, specifically in Los Angeles, brown or black, to where the Supreme Court had to make a decision to whether we're going to keep letting these youths get rehabilitation or we're going to punish them. And that's when they started the fitness hearing that's universally used. The juvenile fitness hearing is behind the behavior of the youths in LA when the Crips were starting. They realized it's not the older ones, it's the younger ones. And that's how you had that tradition nowadays, to where they'll tell the little ones to go put in the work. But that don't work now because they can get tried as an adult. But the thing with us, Tookie them or none of them never. I don't know nobody I knew that would tell somebody to go do something that they could do themselves. So nowadays you'll hear, oh, these older guys telling these guys what to do, or they doing this. Don't get us mixed up with what you see now. It's not the same. Nobody I know in my era, and I know a lot of them, that are talking about not helping the youth come back and not do what they do. Nobody.
Well, I wanted to ask, you founded the 83's Gangster Crips.
We started off as Gangster Crips, and it wasn't just no I. It's a whole lot of elements. Too many times in this game, you have to be real careful with that word I. Because niggas don't want to hear the truth, and they be done told lies about what they did. Now we got a conflict of interest where we close to home. So I like to spread the wealth. It wasn't just me, although I could say it, or with Frog, or with Hillbilly, or with Half Ounce that just got killed, the rapper. His daddy was from 83's, Gangster Crip. Yeah, his name was Latarius Bryant, Half Ounce, that got killed. His daddy name is Tommy O'Brien. In fact, I'll show you a picture of him when we get up. Then you got 03 Greto. His daddy's a West Side Crip. Michael Jackson, that's Jason Jackson, Lisa Jackson, and Michael Jackson are those three. Those are my godsons. So, it ain't just me. I was a founder. I'm a member of the West Side Crips. Then when Tookie and them moved and we started breaking into sets, by the age of 15 and a half, me, Frog, Hot Dog, and Rafe and them ended up coming, Hunchy, Baycott, X-Con, Track, Evil, Devil, the originals. So I always like to include those that were there. And when we started, what you seeing now, how they doing all these crazy killings, that we played with honor. We played with honor. We didn't go out and hurt no kids. We didn't go out, we kept it within the boundaries of those that signed up to do that. So y'all will get this OG shit mixed up with when we first started, because most of us didn't gangbang no longer than about 17. We were starting to go get money by then. Well, we already had been robbing ice cream trucks or armored trucks by 15. And this is not exaggeration. So by the time we was 18 or so, most of the original Crips, we had went on to something else, and the other ones come up. But that don't mean we didn't go to war. See, people say, oh, they wasn't active. But y'all forget about the war where we had to go fight 20 years and start all over hand to hand because there was no Crips in prison. But they were too young to go. That's why Raymond and them had such a problem of surviving, where they wasn't getting in trouble, or Big Bob and them that did the Robert Ballou murder, because the Crips wasn't old enough to go to prison. So we terrorized and got into stuff all in juvenile hall, all the way because you could stay till 21, like in Texas, or 25 if you've been committed after the age of 17, 18 at that time. So it was a whole different ball game, man. And it just was, at the end of the day, was it worth it?
So,
I just want to tell everybody, you know, when we was growing up, we used to see kids that was mowing the lawn, and we laughed at them. See them working at McDonald's, we laughed at them. But now at the end of the day, they were way smarter than us. They retired, they with their kids, and every day I'm out here where if it costs a quarter to shit, I might have to throw up. But this is the difference. We still are honorable. Your word is your bond. Times get rough, times get hard. But I ain't gonna never kick no man down. Never. I ain't gonna never kick no man down. Never. I don't care if it's Charleston White. You don't hear me saying nothing bad about him. But it's the truth, it's the truth. If you did something foul and Charleston White wanted to be a real man, he ought to help up and take a stand and say, hey man, let's get this kid out. Other than that, you still want him in jail. Now let's make that a challenge. How about that? Y'all to do a beard challenge. Y'all do a hopscotch challenge. Y'all do all kind of shit. Let's challenge this nigga to let that young man go. Then we'll know where he stands. That sounds like a pretty good plan.
I mean, it definitely does to me.
That's how we ought to do it. Let's start holding some accountability. If he really about helping his people, which I don't think he is, why he not helping this young man? Why he helping youth and keeping his own crime in there? What makes you think he gonna help somebody he never met before?
I did read Monster Cody's book, Monster, the autobiography of an LA gang member. And he talks about how Lil Homie from 83's killed
Big Rick's brother, Tyrone. That's who you talking about?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's different when you're talking to somebody who was there, Doc.
Yeah, and I ain't never read the book, young man. I ain't read none of them books.
Yeah, well, and it started a war. It eventually led to
That's not what started the war.
Here.
That's not true. Let's do the timeline, young man. 79, Tookie got arrested. 79, Raymond got arrested. 79, I went to jail right after Raymond got killed, or either the same day for a jewelry store robbery where the same guy that told on Tookie had told the FBI on me for robbing jewelry store. So now, when I got arrested over sidewire in the house, you had Rolling 60s over there, Rip, Babyface, and the other ones over there. There wasn't no war going on. Wasn't no war. They were having little skirmishes at Henry Clay, at Horace Mann, because they junior high. But they were still going back and forth, and what started the war was after somebody got shot over in front of Big Rick house. That's when the war started, 1980. But they wasn't killing, they were fighting. And the cold part, the guy that killed Tyrone wasn't even from 83's. They knew that. So the war didn't just start right in 79. Tyrone had been killed in March. Highest we all still running around together in August. It didn't start till after another shooting happened, and that's when we started going to prison, and that's when that war started. But it didn't start, we were all still together, robbing together. See, I gangbanged with 83's. But I couldn't get no money because they didn't rob or do that. They were work. Rayford was working, his daddy got him a job. So I had to go to other sets, the 60s, the Hoovers, anywhere, but don't forget we were all still together then. So let's clarify that, like the Hatfields, and you got the McCoys. Quit putting the title of Crips and Blood. I'm a Hatfield. They are McCoys.
Hatfields, Crips.
No, it don't matter. They both automatically they fighting each other. Hatfields and McCoy. I'm a McCoy.
Okay.
Nipsey Hussle them 9 days because Crips fight Crips, which is a language I don't understand. When I came into the game, we were unified. We had structure. And that's when you hear people, oh, the Crips ain't had no structure. That's not true. You can't say that in front of me, young man.
You know something, Melvin, you brought up a good point because the Hatfield and McCoys.
That clarifies it.
But even with Ireland, nobody demonizes that. If anything, they almost justified. So that was I like that. I like that point.
And that's why I don't put titles on people. Everybody has, particularly when you're talking about unifying a community, they're called community influencers. In other words, if I'm dealing with a gang, I don't use the term gang. I use the term community influence because they do influence the community. That way you don't get caught up in saying gang. Now, suppose
It's the police, because you got to work with them when you come to wanting to get some intervention and prevention money, because they realize, hey, this get garner votes, and we could get a lot of money from the government. But when we started intervention and prevention in 1976, there was no police involvement. You don't need no police involvement. But what they do, they're the overseers of the money, because you know out here in California, intervention workers get killed at a very high rate on the streets. So that's why I tell you, it's easy to talk about what you do on the internet where you far away, but it's a whole different game when you're right there with warring factions, Hatfields, McCoys, and not even throwing in the Bloods and the Georges, and you talking about stopping it, standing with Pyrus or something to where everybody else still shooting and killing. That take a lot of heart, young man. That go back to why Charleston White didn't say nothing about them 4 youths that got killed. Because he don't have the heart to do that. To go and say something that's happening in his backyard, but he doesn't say nothing. And I ain't got nothing, like I say, with nobody. Nobody. But some of the things you say, young man, and all y'all got to be held accountable for it. Particularly when I brought him in the game.
Right.
See, that's the difference. He was using my name. Melvin's the only one I would talk to. Why you think he came to Boss Talk? We didn't come there to jump on him. I came there to check him because you talking about the people you met through me. And don't forget, let me ask y'all this. When you save somebody's life, what is the general rule of respect when you don't really save somebody's life? You owe them your life. So if I saved Charleston White and you don't heard him say it out his mouth, Melvin called and saved my life. So why are you not trying to do right, nigga, and try to down talk on me and lie? Because you're lying. So who in the wrong? I saved a nigga life. But just like I brew that breath in you, I break your back, young man. If I wanted to. But we don't do that. And I'm not the toughest, but I promise you, I can do what I need to do. And it ain't about that. I don't want no problems. But if you threaten me of making me think you're gonna hurt me or my mama and make my mama cry. When we was going there, we had to fight the police, the BGF, the Mexican Mafia, the Aryan Brotherhood, the UABNs. The game don't change. Police killing us. And now, that made it easy for these guys to go to prison where now they can brag about fighting each other. Everything I hear now, it's all about them fighting each other. Anybody. We got too much black on blacks going on to where we worrying about other people instead of cleaning our backyard first. Why don't we start with us first? And that starts with a dialogue. Ain't nothing gonna happen when you got 1 million different people slinging all kind of shit and we don't have no one common cause. So we need to try to create a way to where dialogue can be created, particularly amongst warring factions.
Absolutely, absolutely. There was one more thing I wanted to ask before we get out of here, man.
I want to ask you this, Melvin. I want to ask you this, Melvin. You're first generation A-Tray.
Yeah.
Okay. We can say that Monster Cody was second generation.
They right up under us. Monster Cody, I've been knowing him. I talked to his brothers. Monster Cody, them. I call them first generations too.
Okay.
This is why. Because they came up under us where they did it the way we did it. See, most of these people that are claiming gangs now, they didn't come in the way we did. They came in to where they can wear clothes and they claim Crip. They can read a book and say they a Crip. They can write a song and say they was a Crip. Or Blood. But to me, that's a gang member, not a gang banger. There's a big difference when you pulling that trigger. And then they say, well, they only did it to blacks. Y'all might have only did it to blacks. We didn't. Anybody could get it. Look at our records. In fact, I ain't never been arrested for no black on black crime. And I've been arrested 50, 60 times. But I've been arrested 45, 50 times for robbery and the other 10s for carrying weapons. But I ain't never been, you ain't heard nobody say Melvin shot my son. We were honorable. We don't have no smut on our jackets. So at the end of the day, man, you hear a lot of things where you hear from people, but they really wasn't there at the beginning. So I look at Monster Cody, the Mad Bones, and all those that would have been, if I'm 65 now, 75, I would have been going on 18, 17. They would have been 13, 14, the same way with me. I look at everybody from 1972, 71, all the way up to 80 as being first generation. It ain't no we first or no big U's. And ever since then, after that, it's been a 10-year cycle for the next generation. The 80s, the 90s, the 20s, the 210s, the 220s, and now you got 50 years. So I don't look at it like they're a different generation or they nothing. I look at it as all one part as a whole, or either the Hatfields or the McCoys.
I wanted to ask you, this was the last question that I had pertaining to Crippin'. Monster Cody writes in his book that when the Crip on Crip war started, that there had been more killings in the first 12 years of that war than the entire war between the Bloods and the Crips.
When, at that time?
At that time.
In 1980? No, he would, when he wrote the book? 1980?
1993 around.
Oh,
around
okay,
93,
now.
94.
Okay, now I got it. So, at that time, from 80, 79, 80, when that started till 93 or something, it would be. But that's kind of deceiving, because don't forget, the drug game don't came in now. So a lot of this shit where you talk about killing ain't really about, they claiming Crip, but they drug dealers, and that's how when they started sending the gangs out to other states, they wasn't going there where they just went there cripping. They were going there where they starting to sell dope and gang banging. And that's what's really changed the game.
So a lot of it was about territory.
It was about territory. It's always been about territory.
Yeah.
That's why, and this is another thing that they get confused about when you hear people in LA. If you ever been to Atlanta or Georgia or country states, they usually don't have numbers on their street. Wesley Snapple, Wesley Snapple on Chapfinger Road. I used to stay in Decatur.
Yeah.
I used to stay in Gwinnett County, Alpharetta. All that, I done been all through there getting money. In fact, every state I done got money in, big money, except for South Dakota, North Dakota, and Montana.
Okay.
So, when you at them states, when you come in, we used to have to use the GPS. But when you in California, Los Angeles, you got numbers where you know that number downtown, say 1st Street, if you head south, the number's gonna go up to 220. So you can say, man, how I get out to Long Beach? Oh man, just take the freeway and get off on 103rd. Or go down there. But you can't do that. So out here, because y'all don't change the dialogue to where y'all call LA South Central, when that's not what I come up with, I come off the west side. That's this side of the 110. That's the east side. Then you got Watts. And don't forget Watts. And the Watts area, the Comptons, the Jordan Down, I don't want to forget them either. They were original members of the collaborations of the Trips. So you had east side, west side, Watts, Compton, Inglewood, and sprinkling of the other ones, Long Beach, because they all right there. But the core was the east side, west side, Watts, and like I say, the Jordan Downs, Nickerson Gardens, Bounty Hunters, Imperial Courts, all that was there. So that you're absolutely correct about that. And that's how that was going back then.
What is Melvin Farmer doing now?
Well, Melvin Farmer's been doing what he's been doing all the time. Right now, we are waiting on Ice-T. He's putting in a thing to where we've made a film, a documentary where 3 years ago, me, Ice-T, Terry, Big T, Suave, Churchill.
What's Suave?
Suave Churchill.
Okay.
Nah, yeah, Suave Churchill. He do the Nipsey Hussle stuff. We got Freeway Rick. We got Tig Rogers on there. We got a gang of people, victims of violence, to where about in 2019, that's when right before when COVID started, we had been discussing what can we do to bring awareness to this act of senseless gun violence. So we thought of making a movie, and now we got a 10-series docu-series called The World Epidemic, Senseless Gun Violence. So we're producing that, trying to get that out. We work with Credible Messenger, that's with Mayor Bowles out of Washington, D.C., where people say Melvin don't do nothing, well, nigga lied. But Melvin works with Mario Bowles, with Credible Messengers. We're the first one, west of the Mississippi. I'm doing 3 cases, one in New York, one in Alabama, and another one in Texas, where men have been wrongly convicted, or I think, where I'm doing legal work for them. What else we got going on? On Mondays, I teach a class with SBV, Saving Our Black Village, to where they're all clergy members, women's. I never read the Bible, so I'm the only one that's not church orientated, although I believe in God. Then I'm working to go to school to where I'm fit to start to be a tax preparer, to where we are offering jobs. Anybody in the LA area, from the Los Angeles area, San Bernardino, Riverside, or Inland Empire, I can get you a job, $17.50 an hour, full time, all the way from December the 2nd till April tax season, or you can be part-time in the area you stay. Also, we're working with the Doc Ellis Foundation, based in Vegas, where Doc Ellis was the first black pitcher to open up a World Series, but he grew up in LA, and they deal in drug, sex trade, the sex trade industry, as well as missing children. So I work with them, but also me, Daryl Strawberry's brother, Michael Strawberry, Ronnie Strawberry, Eddie Davis, Eric Davis, a whole lot of baseball players, where we're trying to revitalize it for the summer for the youth to be able to play baseball, because we feel that the game is lacking in the minorities and the representation of us as blacks, because we go and chase the dream of having our kid play in the NBA or play in the NFL, and those are winter sports. So by the time summer comes, we feel that they're lacking the funds. So like, this is with Positive Vibes, where this has come from the guy that started with Carl Kanai, Kenyatta. If you look at some of Tupac's early videos, you'll see he have on Positive Wear. This is the guys that's Carl Kanai. So I'm an ambassador for them and other things. So proceeds, you can look up them. We'll send some of the proceeds, because what happens, I was an athlete, and still an athlete first. Still an athlete first. Shoot well, jump well, see well. But what happens is, when we grew up, you had McDonald's, Boys Market, all that. They sponsored us. They bought the uniforms. I remember dyeing my cleats white when the Oakland A's came out with the shirt. In fact, it was the night Robert Ballou got it killed, April 1972. I was over there waiting to go for our baseball game the next morning. Me and Baycott, we dyeing our cleats, watching the World Series and stuff. Watching baseball, because April is when it started. It's the summer sport. So Tookie and them was our baseball coaches at this time. That's who used to coach us, so we been on them. But what happens is, now, because of economical empowerment, which we don't have, You got the Latinos that are selling tacos. You got the Chinamans that are running the swap meets. You got the Italians doing the pizzas and the Subways. You got the Koreans. So let's look at when our money go to them. When it go to the pizza man or the Italians, it turn into a lira. They take their money and send it back. So now that money that we had, it ain't coming back. When you buy that taco, they take that American dollar and they send it and turn it into what? Pesos. When you go to the Korean and spend your money all on them swap meets, where that money go? To the yen. So what happens is we're patronizing all these other businesses where they ain't coming to buy no barbecue. I'm on the streets. They don't go outside their race to buy. And then we'll spend our money and they take our money and it don't get recycled. And because we don't own nothing but mom and pop shops, that's the problem for these youth during the summer. And that's when you'll see what you see at all the parks across the nation damn near. They send their kids to daycare for the summer. That's what they do. They let them babysit them because they're chasing a dream that's enormous odds to overcome. Enormous odds.
I did want to ask you something else before we
we all right. Take your
up.
time, young player.
Man, you know California is a big check-in city.
What do you mean by check-in?
Well, you know, I checked in, you know what I'm saying?
No, but this the difference about
in.
checking in. You didn't check in. I don't like that. I don't use that term. That's like friendly extortion.
Right.
It's best to have a friend. You come to me because I'm your friend.
Right. Yeah, look where you got me at, man. You know what I'm saying? Let me
Oh,
brag
tell them
on
where you
Melvin,
at, man.
We
You
at
in
the studio,
in the
man.
studio with 22,000. We got seats. We got everything. We make movies. Y'all do
Let me show
sound
them
bites
shit,
and life.
man. We ain't got a cap about it, you know what I'm saying? This
No,
whole
in fact, when we through, let's take a
movie
stroll.
theater.
Don't make the camera shake it, man.
Yeah, whole movie theater. Yeah, we gonna take a stroll.
We're
Gotta
going
show
to take a
'em this.
view and we're going to show you what we do.
I do gotta ask you, and we could do that right after this. I do gotta ask you, you know what I'm saying? Salute Chico Brown, you know what I'm saying?
I told him Marvin, Freeway, Rick. We supply entertainment. Also, we got hidden corners to look up and for the start where we're going to do a broadcast, which isn't the same as a podcast that y'all finna find out.
Right.
And we ain't going to be talking about nothing but what's positive. They can go, you know, when you're in life, you got newspapers where you got certain sections, the sports page, the comic page, the entertainment section. And a lot of people don't like all the same sections.
Right.
So, if I choose, why would I want to go to a crap game where the dice and the house is loaded when I can come right here with my little ass and do what I need to do without having to look at nothing and be just as content? Right. I'm from the era where it's telephone, tell a nigga, not about where you go look at no internet to get your information because it's tainted. And you guys, I want one thing to remember too, that people can lie on anybody on here because they can't get sued. So somebody gonna always be right when everybody else blackballing you not to let your voice be heard. Right. That's why I say why they don't set up and sit in front of us. They can't. They don't have the resume. Or are they doing the work? We out here with our boots to the ground, young man. We got a lot of things going on, not just here. Old Block, Chicago, Columbus, Ohio, where if you don't win, you don't be president, and stuff like that. So I want to thank everybody for allowing us to be here and letting our voice be heard. And tune in tomorrow as we go on the holding court with Big Court tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, real tone, it's some real money in the room.